is going to be a mammoth task, a humongous task to implement this across the length and breadth of the country. More so, because it has kept the scope very, very wide and comprehensive. The scope is so wide that it includes all the stakeholders, producers, brand owners, plastic waste processors and importers who are responsible to do the waste collection and waste management. It also covers all the packaging products like the single-use plastics, the flexibles and the rigids, and also defines the modalities and process which we have to follow in obligating the EPR. So this is very important. We are also very fortunate that the Government of India carefully and smartly avoided to tread the path of taxonomy and punitive measures like many other European countries. So we need to appreciate that and become very serious on the implementation process. Having said this, I and Mr. Marzban will moderate this session, a panel discussion comprising of eminent personalities who will attempt to address the issues and concerns of the stakeholders today.
So before we start the main discussions, I mean, the last CK Mishra was, for many of us, really nothing short of a fairly sharp wake-up call, you know, the types when go back to some 5th or 6th standard in school and you're kind of in a bit of a daze and the teacher gave you a little bit of a whack on your knuckles and said, hey guy, I've been trying to tell you this for a long while now. Please understand because it is for your own good. Okay? So, a bit of a stupor on that because a lot of the morning has been about, you know, let's do this, but this is the problem. Let's do that, but that is the problem. And somehow we've got a bit lost on this as an expert group. So many thanks to CK Mishra for kind of helping us to see light a bit, see direction a bit, and to give us that not so polite anymore, but a bit of a guiding push that it's like this only. Okay, so whether we like it or not, this is the way forward. Now, of course, between the panel here, we've got a huge number of experts. We're going to talk about EPR, and that's a subject which is raising anxiety. It's raising a bit of a fear factor, a lot of complexity in the way it's being implemented. But okay, this is where we are. And we try to skim some of these because, of course, each of these questions that we're trying to raise are maybe half-day sessions in themselves. So we'll try to kind of put a few thoughts on the table which help us to mull over this topic.
And with the brand owners. If the brand owners are medium and large, then it is their responsibility. And they are small and micro, then it is a responsibility lies with the converters. So actually we must be genuine. It is not just a certificate. We must be genuine that yes, it must be done. And if the rag pickers, if there are small sachet of the maybe a 2 gram or 3 gram or 5 gram, and rag pickers are not getting a reward or money, then actually they are not picking up that scrap. So we have to make some formula and give them a sizable amount, then actually automatically everything will be cleaned up. Second, EPR certificate, who are providing EPR certificate and who are getting EPR certificate, both must be genuine. Then we are not finding any littering on the road. So maybe some panelists are from the EPR certificate issuing agency. So they are also must be genuine and work genuine and give a certificate genuine, then it can be avoided. So it is a joint responsibility. Also with the government, the municipal corporation has their own role. They must be play a really genuine role. So if we all put together, converters, brand owners, municipal corporations and the EPR certificate issuing agency, all are working really dedicatedly, then problem can be solved. So we must be genuine. That is the first criteria.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Over to you, Mr.
Thank you
Marzban.
very much. We're going to pose the next one to Rahul Podaar, MD, line here, with circularity as an end goal. But some of us, some elements are still caught up in it's not getting collected anyway, you know, hame kya karna, it's not getting collected anyway, yeah. So with that mindset, we kind of limit our actions. Question then to you, sir, is how do we change this thinking and keep taking the right steps forward? Rahul Podaar.
Thank you. So basically, first coming on to the question where Jeevaraj ji asked to Jigish ji, on the neutrality, like a lot of brand owners are, claiming that they are plastic neutral, they have collected 100% of quantities. So, and there are a lot of agencies who are providing EPR certificates, who are working on the ground level. Now, the thing is that there is ample of waste lying in the country since years. And it's not easy or it's not sufficient that we can clear the entire waste stream in this 2-3 years of time. It will take some time. The only thing is that, things are actually happening on the ground level to a certain extent, and we are seeing the change, and if we need to see complete change, it will take some time. We should be patient, and we should keep doing our responsibility, and we should keep doing what we want to do under sustainability part. So coming on to the question which was asked to me was, see, when we focus on the impact, when we focus on the results, the mindset of the people, still there are a lot of things, perceptions about plastics, a lot of consumers still think that, plastics doesn't have a value, it is not right thing to use, or it doesn't have a recyclable value. So as brand owners, as producers, it's their responsibility that they should spread the awareness among consumers that the material, that the packaging material, what they are using, has a value, can fetch money also if they dispose it properly. Today we all at our homes, collect plastic papers, newspapers, give it to Radhiwalas and, get some money out of it. But we never, collect plastics at our home and give it to kabadiwalas. So once we have our home, our parents, our children have the awareness that this will fetch money, they will never throw it, either in fact in dustbins also, they will collect it. And then, we can fetch money, they can fetch money, and then that plastics can come into circular stream. Today, the problem is that they are throwing plastics with other materials, which is paper, metal, glass, wood, and that's how it is contaminated. It cannot come in the circular stream. For that, it needs to be segregated. For that, it needs to be disposed of in a proper manner. So,
thank you for the question, Jeevaraj. For those of you who were here in the morning session and heard Mr. Harsh Mariwala's keynote speech, you would have seen the report that the Marico Innovation Foundation had put together with the Indian Institute of Science and Praxis. They worked on it last year, and we launched it in January of this year. Now, this report is a playbook that actually looks at the solution side of plastic waste management. And again, to reference Mr. C.K. Mishra, I'm so happy to say that this playbook actually references the opportunities and solutions, and not just focusing on the problems that we've all, of course, are aware of and that we've spent pretty much the entire morning discussing. This particular report showcases 15 innovative startups, and these work across different aspects of the plastic waste management spectrum. Some of these innovations are in terms of difficult or hard to recycle plastics like MLPs, and understanding how we might be able to extend the shelf life of these kinds of plastics by recycling them into longer use products. For example, if you were to use recycled plastic and make windmill blades out of it, that just extends its shelf life by another 35 to 40 years and delays its journey to the landfill. There are other options as well that we've covered in the report in terms of data generated at source with QR codes that helps us understand where the waste has been picked up from and what type of waste, which again is information that could be helpful to brand owners to understand what sort of their products are being used, where is it being consumed, and why is it not making its way to waste management. There are other alternates as well to thermocol, to films. We're looking at alternates to thermocol which are made of crop stubble. We're looking at alternates to film which are made of seaweed, and you would remember one of the videos that Mr. Mariwala shared in the morning. We also understand that India has a massive problem of segregation at source and also at scale. So we also have solutions which are AI-based and which are looking at doing this at scale. For example, Ishitva, which is there as part of the stalls over here, actually is able to convert 6 tons of plastic waste and segregate it by color, by brand, which just speeds up the entire waste management process. So in short, I think these are a few of the innovative startups that we are looking at and which we're very confident, if they're adopted at scale, will really galvanize the plastic waste management ecosystem.
Fantastic, Suranjana. I wish all the other brand owners take this initiative and move this forward. Everyone has to play a role in this. So I'll ask Mr. Marzban.
There's an emergence in research on microorganisms that can break down plastics. We're also seeing some amount of research on chemical recycling. And again, this tends to be an expensive proposition right now because it's difficult for chemical recyclers to get segregated waste for them to be able to delaminate, de-ink, that entire process. But I think these would be 2 specific emerging technologies that we're seeing in terms of solutioning for end of life.
Okay, thank you very much.
A lot of investment and work is being done by various companies to, produce film which has recycled content. So I think for the thinner structures, to achieve a 10% recycled content could be achievable very soon. But going forward, thicker structures, and as the 10% goes up to 20 or 30%, it's going to be very challenging. And so my message to the regulators is that unless packaging is regulated to be recyclable or biodegradable, it's not going to be easy to achieve this objective. And therefore, I would say, like we saw presentation for Mr. David, that in Europe, the regulation is that it has to be recyclable by a particular year. So in India, I don't see that yet. And I hope that the regulators and the industry can take this forward. And the other thing is that for a lot of resin, we are dependent on import of resin. And if we have import recycled resin, I don't think that solves the problem of India. We have to generate our own recycled content from waste in India if we want to solve our pollution. So I think this is something that the regulator and the industry needs to think about seriously. If we want to truly be, waste-free and use our plastic responsibly.
So thank you, Saket ji. I think a very strong plea being
I think that the mono PE material is by far the most functional, aesthetic, and covers a wide range of consumer products that you can package it in because it's very versatile. Whereas also at the end of the day, money is very important. So what brings you maximum value in the recycling stream, in the collection stream, is a very important point. I think just PP solution is not so easy to recycle and to get recyclable resin. And the mixed polythene is even more challenging in the recyclable stream. So I think PE is clearly, in our opinion, the winner. And I think that in days to come, in years to come, it will be widely adopted by the industry.
So thank you for that, Saketji. I think this value, which could totally neutralize any cost upcharge. Sridhar.
Thanks, Marzban. I think for the last 30 years, which I have been in the industry with levers and Marico, and now with Plum Goodness, I've seen that what you pay is the price, what you expend is the cost, and what you get is the value. So I think that is the premise which people leverage. And the problem is that if our consumers don't purchase, okay, then down the line business, we are not able to give it to them, and down the line business suffers. So it's a chain reaction which happens. And today morning what Prabha was telling about we want it all is absolutely right. And even in the premium end cosmetics and this thing, the demand is high on the cost. But having said that, I think the flexible industry which I have seen in the last 30 years and more in levers and Marico, it is, they have gone strides. And now what I see is that the technology and materials has come in a long way from what we used to use. We had tried this MDO films and the monomaterial film stem tow, and it worked beautifully with some of our edible oils pouches. And not only that, in fact, I was just reading an article with the Exxon thing where they have used Exceed X and the materials, and they have created a 5-layer film with a washable inks and Henkel-based adhesive, recyclable adhesives, which is a path-breaking thing, which I feel. And they use it has got a high barrier with respect to the regular aluminium foil-based laminates. Now, having said that, they have also used 50% recyclate of that in the HDS bag. Okay, and it passes 5-meter drop test, which is brilliant. Now, this entire chain, so they have done this entire circularity of the thing at an optimum cost, which I feel will go a long way, for the industry. And we also in a very small, and both things go, the formulation and the packaging go hand in hand. So in fact, we have done, changed to a monomaterial tubes, going forward by just tweaking the formulation. So it's the entire value part of it with the technology and the materials and the monofilms and those sort of things, which takes it forward. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Sridhar. I think
to try and keep it as short as possible. The main part to understand is that the regulation requires biodegradable plastics, and a lot of people are confused in relation to biodegradable plastics. And essentially, it's using master batches or additives that you put into ordinary plastic that will make it biodegradable at the end of its useful life. So biodegradability and recycling, they go together. And in your regulations, you have standards in order to achieve the biodegradability approval from the government. To be able to do that, you need to conform to a particular standard. It's a tentative standard, IS 17899, but it's a problem because in that standard, to prove biodegradation, the test method is something like 2 years, and people aren't prepared for 2 years before they get approval of the use of that particular biodegradable technology. In addition to that, each producer, and I understand there's somewhere around 150,000 producers in this country, will require to get biodegradation test. There's simply not enough laboratory space to be able to do that for the next 100 to 150 years. So it couldn't be achieved anyway. Major, major problems. And of course, most of the industry here is the micro, small companies. They're the backbone of India. And the cost to be able to do this compliance is somewhere between 450,000 and 550,000, which is a lot of money for a small micro-cap company to be able to invest in that regulation. And then finally, to be able to really resolve the issue, if a global standard is accepted and the additive or master batch producer that's supplying the industry is approved, all of this would evaporate, and the use of biodegradable technology that's compatible with ordinary plastics within India would be used. And then it goes to the root of sustainability, which has been today's topic. Plastics are the most sustainable product on this planet. They had the lowest CO2 rates. They had the lowest life cycle impact of any other product on this planet. Minimization, reduction, reuse, recycling, absolutely 100% compatible with biodegradable technology.